All right. Hello, everybody. All right. Leave me a comment in the chat. How are you guys tonight? How is everybody doing this Sunday? Welcome. I have been doing a little bit of work today. Most of today has actually been scheduling out all of my social media posts because I am really trying. It did not go super well this last week. I'm trying to increase all of my activity on Instagram. So I'm posting daily there. I'm still really active in my stories, although I haven't been as active this week because it has been wild. So if you watched today's vlog that got posted about 3-ish, maybe it was like 3:30. If you watched today's vlog, then you know that this week was difficult because I talk about it and it's just been really busy. I had a little bit of like a breakdown at one point because I was having a really hard time balancing everything. I was super overwhelmed at work. It was just a lot. So go watch it if you want all the details because I'm moving on. Moving on from that. So glad to be here. Like I said, I did most of my social media today, so I haven't touched any of my projects yet. Usually, Sunday afternoons after Fen takes a nap, or while Fen takes a nap, I sit down and I do all of my writing, but I didn't get to do a lot of that. It got pushed off. So tonight, I am outlining. So I use my story. It's an app you can get. I get it. I have it on my I have it on my iPad and my phone, and it keeps me more organized than what I used to do, which is drop scene ideas whenever I had them just into whatever I could on my phone. Now I have an actual place to stick them. So, love my story. So, that is what I am going to be working on tonight. So, let's see who is with us today. Jessica's here. Hi, Jessica. She says she is doing good. I'm happy to hear that. Green ruled. Good evening. Good evening to you too. Jessica said, I decided to start another book that I have been wanting to write for a while. Started about an hour ago, so I am only about 100 words in as I get my thoughts together. Sometimes you have to hit pause. And that's what happened to me after I wrote my first book, which was The Arena. The Arena is science fiction and it's very like politically charged because the entire book is about overthrowing a really abusive government, specifically the people in the government, not so much the structure. So um, there was that. There's also a little bit of racism written into that book between the two groups on the planet. So is a lot emotionally. And after I wrote it, I love that book. And some of the people who read it and have read all of my other things really enjoy The Arena the most. And I would love to come back to it. I've written it so that I could write a book two, and I started to write book two, but it was just too much, and my brain was needed a break, and my heart was in other places. So I took a pause from it and wrote a different book, kind of like what you're talking about, deciding to start another book. Sometimes the creativity is just not there to force it, so it's better to move on. So that is typically what I do. I used to be able to write a series like beginning to end, and I can still kind of do that. But I've learned that now that I have a stricter structure and more deadlines built in, that I do kind of need like a brain break. So for me, um, I've kind of built projects in specifically to be a break like that. And Winter Witches is the perfect example. So Winter Witches is totally different than all of my heavier fantasy and more serious things. It's supposed to be lighthearted. It's supposed to be romantic with a like the fun magic twist in there, and that's exactly what it is. So that will continue for another 2 books at least. And I have ideas for others in the future, but that's just such a fun book to write. It's been the perfect break in between all of this stuff. So I am glad for the breaks. So, what is everybody else working on tonight? Jessica's going to write on her new book. That'll be super fun. I am itching. Speaking of wanting to get back to projects, I am itching to get to one of my older projects. It's a book that I haven't written on in a really long time, but in some ways I'm like desperate to. I was writing scenes for it this week. I actually rewrote the entire opening first two scenes, which is really fun. I have played with that series for so long that I could probably sit down and pants it without a problem because I know it. I know the whole thing beginning to end. The only book I don't know is the last one in that series, so I will get back around to it eventually. I was itching to write it so much that I actually got out my iPad and I sat down and looked at like my publishing history, all of the things I want to publish and when I will plan to publish them. That way I had like a tangible idea of when that series can come to fruition. I cannot wait. But in the meantime, for this year, I am publishing in the spring the second book, Shade of the Shadowlands. That one I've already pushed out. It's on Goodreads. The blurb is listed on my website. That's coming May 30th. And then the third and final book in the Guardians of the Six Gate series is planned for the fall. So that's coming in the fall. And so is Winter Witches. You can actually read Winter Witches right now. If you're a Patreon member, there are two different tiers. The $5 tier gets you that book. That's where a lot of those bigger projects go. So you can read all of Winter Witches if you subscribe for $5 a month. If you subscribe for, I think it's $3 a month, you still get the freebies, but you're not going to get the big long works. You'll get like a chapter here and there, or just all of my announcements before I come out publicly with them. And I do have some other projects I'd like to slip into Patreon. I haven't been as active as I had wanted to be this month, so I'll get back around to that. So Patreon's been kind of a fun adventure for me. I've been really liking it so far, but hopefully I'll do more with that in the future. So let's see. We're going on. It's 8:30. We're getting in pretty far. What do we say to starting our first sprint? I'm going to spin the first sprint. I'm not going to quite get around, I think, to outlining. I might a little bit. I need to finish filming for the Instagram video. I'm doing that challenge where I try to grow my Instagram in a month. It's the same thing I did with TikTok. That video is already out on YouTube, so go check it out. I'm doing the same thing again for this month where I focus on Instagram and really try to grow my following there. So I need to film that video and then I need to, what else? I think that's it. I think I just need to film that, upload that with the rest of my files, and then I can start outlining. So not as much to do. Last week I had a whole lot of those little things to do, but because I prioritized doing the Instagram and social media this afternoon, I was able to push a lot of that off for tonight. So that's super nice. So I say, let's gear up to move on to our first sprint. So don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps other people that write and like this kind of content find it. So I would appreciate it. If you're new, we do sprints in 20-minute bursts on my channel. Occasionally, if I have a longer stream going, I will do longer sprints, but because it's Sunday night, everyone has to get up on Monday morning to work, I only do 3 sprints of 20 minutes. So that is what we'll be doing, is doing those sprints. So I want tab. There we go. Let's bring this up nice and big, but I want that screen. All right. So we are going to do 20-minute sprints. Jessica says she is ready to go. I am so excited. Ready to get back around to this project. I've got some new energy for the week. I am ready to go. So here we go. I will start the timer and we will start with our first sprint. Go! All right. How did everybody do? I got a little bit done with outlining. I actually sat down and I am moving my publishing timeline for the year from my physical planner to the iPad because some things have actually changed a little. So, and may change again, I can already tell. So, that's what I've been doing part of this time. So, we shall see. But how did everybody else do? Hello, Tyler. Welcome back. I'm happy to see you again. Green World says exactly 201 words in. Not too shabby. All right. Also, Jen popped in. I think Jen popped out. Also, where is she? There she is. Jen said that her Wi-Fi is not very good at the cabin. And so she just wanted to get in just to say hello to everybody. So Jen says hi and have a good night. Thanks for popping in, Jen. I think she's already left us, but it was great to have her there. So maybe if she watches back, she'll see all of us responding to her. Jessica said, did some research on names for that sprint. So I only wrote about 20 words. Sometimes that research, especially if you're really thorough, pays off big time. So you're definitely still doing work, believe me, especially when I'm writing fantasy. I do quite a bit of prep work before I start writing like that. Usually it's me mulling over names and names of places, things like that for continuity, because that makes a very big difference when you actually start drafting. So I don't know what I did differently now that, speaking of drafting and looking at my publishing timeline, I'm not sure where I thought things would fit in for my publishing timeline, because now that I've gotten halfway into the year, I'm looking at it and I'm keep thinking, I could almost write a whole extra book with these 2 months. And so now I am drifting into some scary territory where I often bite off more than I can chew. So having to introduce a very large dose of realism of reality. That's what I meant. Large dose of reality here as I go through my timeline. So, but so far so good. Like I said, some things in my publishing timeline have already shifted because originally I wanted February to be the month that Shade of the Shadowlands was with my editor, but she wasn't available in February. She was actually available in March. So things had to get shifted. So that adjusted, but it's funny because it still has me ahead of schedule than what I originally planned. So still not entirely sure how things are so different. I think a lot of it is just that I know what works really well for me now in the process of publishing. The indie world of publishing is super nice because you really can just hit all of your marks whenever you want to a degree. I mean, if you're working with other people like my editor and my cover designer, you're working on their schedule also. But if you wanted to just fast track a book and have it out in like 4 months after you've written it, you could do that. If you wanted to do it sooner than that, you could do that. A lot of indie authors, especially in Romancelandia, in the romance world, drop a book a month. I cannot imagine doing that, but also part of me kind of wishes I could do that. Definitely is not feasible for me, but I do like the idea. So, what is everybody reading right now? Oh, Jessica says, I cannot do that. Me neither. Part of it's what I write. I think if I wrote only things similar to Winter Witches, I could do it quicker because that book came together very quick. But I don't write books exclusively like Winter Witches. I really like to write fantasy, and that stuff takes time. So I could also not do it. Speaking of fantasy, I'm currently reading Percy Jackson. I am almost done with book 2, The Sea of Monsters, which is this one. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I am dying to open this up and read it right now. That's why it's sitting here, because before we moved on to the stream, I was reading this and I am dying to dive right back into it because I'm almost done. So I'll finish it this week and hopefully I can finish the audiobook. I am working on the audiobook for Legend Born. That is amazing. But I'm hoping that I can finish that this week also. That way, where did February go? That way, I will have read 3 books for the month, which is pretty normal for me. I average 3 to 4 books, but I've had the last couple of months have been so busy and erratic that I haven't been as consistent with that. So I would love to be back up to 3 books. So that's fun. But that's what I'm reading right now. What are you guys reading? Okay. So, let's see. I want to finish my publishing timeline. I'll probably come back to this in the next few months as things shift a little, especially at summertime. But I am up to August. So I want to finish out 2023 for my publishing timeline. I want to get that done. And then we'll move into, then we'll go back to outlining. So I've done a little bit of that. Then we'll go back to outlining a little. It'll be good. It'll be fun. So far, feeling pretty good. Feeling fairly productive. I hope it's going well for all of you guys. Jessica says, I am a pretty slow reader. I am a fast reader, but especially now that I'm writing more during the week, that has slowed me up a ton. So in that sense, I've become more of a slower reader too. I'm moving more towards 2 books a month being pretty good. And I also haven't been running as much, and I listen to audiobooks, and running is when I got a lot of audiobook time. So that is how I was able to read so many, because half of what I would read in the month was audiobook. So since I haven't been doing that as much, I haven't been reading as much. I'm hoping as like the spring months come in and they warm up, that I'll get back on board with that. Green Ruled is reading Worlds Beneath. Ooh, that sounds like a good time. Tyler says, I am reading an arc. Ooh, that is fun. I've only had the pleasure to read a couple of arcs. That is a fun experience. Reading an arc for a book coming out in June. It's a gothic fantasy with a romance subplot, and I've been loving it. That sounds like my kind of book. I'm not sure what it is, but that sounds like my kind of thing. Gothic fantasy with romance. That sounds awesome. All right. So it is now 9 o'clock. I say, let's go ahead and move on with our second sprint. So let me pull that up. I have our timer up still. There we go. So we're going to do another 20 minutes. So I've got 20 minutes queued up on the clock. Hopefully we'll all be really productive this time around. So hopefully in 20 minutes when I talk with you guys again, I will have finished the publishing timeline on my iPad and I will have at least maybe gotten 1 scene in. I'm hoping to do at least 1 this sprint. So fingers crossed, sending good vibes to all of you. And here we go. Sprint. All right. How did everybody's second sprint go? I got all of my publishing outline, or not outline, my publishing timeline, for 2023 done. I got all of that there. I feel good about it. After I finished it and went back through, I realized it's not that, it's about what I had already planned. It was just more detailed, which is a good thing. I had included more details on this version than this version. So glad for that. I do think having the paper version was super helpful though, because I could draft out all my thoughts and then refine them for this one. So that was good. But as far as outlining, I did not get as much outlined as I had hoped, but I did get thoughts down. I think I'm closer to the drafting phase than I thought. So in the next week, I will move towards drafting. If I can get a whole lot more done on this outline and at least like feel a little better, then I may actually start drafting this week. So we'll see. You guys will know next week during the live stream, also the vlog. And if you follow me on social media, of course, I always post stuff there. So you guys will know, I promise. So how did everybody else do? How was your second sprint? Jessica said only wrote about 50 words. I ended up heading up heating up a late night snack and eating that. I am a little bit hungry myself, so I'm a little jealous. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jessica. Green Rolled said finished the chapter. That's always so satisfying, especially at the end of a sprint when you're able to finish that. That's so nice. I'm reading that arc during the sprints. I went from 72% to 76 of the way through. That's awesome. How long is the arc? 72 to 76 is a pretty good jump. And being that far in, you're close to the ending, I would think. So how long is it? Is it a long book? I haven't read an arc in a really long time. My goodness. Somebody send me an arc. I would love that. That sounds amazing. Even with my author friends, we usually reserve all of our arcs for like readers, not so much other authors. So I don't really get a lot of them. I also don't give out arcs to a lot of other writers either. Nothing against like giving them out to writers. It's just that I would give them out to those friends for free anyway. And a lot of times, my writing friends already know about all my projects. We're talking about them together a lot anyway. So it feels a little silly to give that out to them to me, but everybody does things a little different. Tyler said, it's longer than I first thought it was. It's about 400 pages, I think. Woo, that is a pretty long book. Yeah. But it sounds amazing. I'm really digging the vibes that you gave earlier for that book. So super exciting. I ran out of my tea. So let's hope my voice lasts for the rest of the stream. It is 9:28, so I would imagine I could last through the end of the stream. We're getting close to the point where we need to start thinking about moving on to our third sprint, though. I hate to cut things a little bit on the short side tonight, but I have been exhausted from this crazy last week, so I'm still catching up on sleep. And I don't want to restart the same cycle that I do so often where I stay up late as soon as I start to feel better. So I may have to move on pretty quick. I think the author's still accepting ARC reviewers if you are interested in applying. Ooh, it sounds amazing. So I may have to go look that up. It sounds great. What is the name of that book if you're able to share? I might go look it up. This sounds great. Thanks for telling me. I think it would be fun to do that. I haven't had an arc in a really long time. Not since I started as an author anyway. All right. So, oh, I don't want that. That'll work. Anyway, so for the next sprint. Let's see, I'm about halfway into my outline. I've been jumping back and forth though, and I have much more in the end of my outline than I do in the middle and the beginning. So I'm actually just about done with the outline now that I'm really thinking about it. So I'm going to continue on in that middle bit on my outline. There are some really fun romance things that happen in book 3. So that's really fun to write for. The overall plot gets really intense. So there are some moments in it I'm having a little bit of a hard time figuring out some direction for, but I think once I jump in and kind of start with some other scenes, that will answer some questions and fix some issues, I think. So Tyler said it's titled When the Stars Alight. Okay, I'm gonna have to go look for that. And Green Ruled is leaving us. It is 10:30 here. Good night, all. Thanks for the sprints, Amy. Thank you for joining, Green Ruled. I'm glad you could join. I know that if you're in different time zones, then I'm not always the most convenient to hop on for a sprint. So thank you for coming. Hopefully it was really productive for you. Everyone else is saying good night. Oh my goodness. I really like the writing community online. Everybody is so nice. There's really a nook and cranny of it for everybody. Okay, so I think let's go ahead, move on to our third sprint. Make sure that if you haven't already to subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that at amyprokopis.com. It's at the very bottom of the page. I do put a newsletter out whenever I have big announcements. It's usually only like twice a month that you'll get an email, usually just the one time a month when you get that monthly informational newsletter. So I swear I'm not spamming anybody. I don't send stuff out very often, but go join it if you're interested at all in knowing the things like the agenda for each month, because that's what I put out in my newsletter. But let's get our timer up. Alrighty, so final sprint of the night. Hopefully it's a good one for everybody. I'm hoping to get one more, at least one more really good scene written in because I'm almost done with this outline. Wow, I'm a lot further than I thought I was. So this has been really productive for me. So hopefully all of you find it productive as well. So 20 minutes on the clock, and here we go. All righty. How'd everybody do? So I was able to get my scene done in this third sprint. So feeling pretty good. I hmm, I really need to do a little more work on this. I know I do, but I really feel like going ahead and starting on drafting. Curse being a pantser. I think I may end up getting a wild hair this week, especially if the week is a little more low key, like I think it'll be. I may end up going ahead and starting to write on book 3. We will see. Hmm, I don't know. I bet if I started on it, just based on some of the big things that happen early in the book, I think that I could probably plan out the rest of it as I went and it still be fine. It could totally be fine. But that's where I am on my outlining for the stream. That was the last sprint. So I think that's probably all of it that I'm going to do tonight. Jessica said 100 more words just in time to go to bed. Yes, I am starting to feel a little tired myself. My dog is in here with me and she is out. June is out cold. She's so sleepy, the poor thing. My husband just came home with dinner, so we're gonna eat. Have a good night, everybody. That sounds great. Have a good night, Tyler. Thank you for coming. I think it's just about time for us to end things here also, because again, I'm starting to feel a little tired. I don't know about you guys. And I just got caught up on sleep. And sometimes if I'm not careful with working on Sunday night like this, doing all my writing, sometimes things get away from me and then suddenly I'm up much later than I planned to. So I don't want to do that. I do have to get up and go to work in the morning. I have to be there by 7:45. So I think it's time to put it all away for me too. So thank you guys for joining me. We will do this again next week. I think that's the 26th. Yes, the 26th. So we'll have another sprint next week. Of course, there'll be a vlog out, and I'm working really hard to get my Wednesday video finished up. I'm hoping to get that done. The plan, if you saw the newsletter, is for this Wednesday to be maybe a question and answer style video and to also put out the book trailer for Shade of the Shadowlands. So more fun things to come. My Patreons will likely get that early if I can get it out soon enough. And I may do, I don't know, I might do another Patreon specific video for them. So we'll see. But that is what I am getting ready to work on, at least for the beginning of the week. That and a little bit of writing as always. Mondays I take off because Alex and I are both here. So Mondays, unless we just kind of both get around to it early, Mondays I don't typically write. So thank you all for joining me. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.